Hi guys, I'm FPL Nymfria and welcome back to the home of FPL videos. Obviously, we've had a tightly packed run of fixtures, but I'm back and I'll give you a brief summary of how I got on in the last few game weeks fixtures for you all. So let's take a look at how I got on in game week 14. Okay, so when I left you last, I was debating taking a -4 for buying Son, Pulisic and Jimenez for Tammy, Sterling and McGinn. I can't say at the time the Tammy to Jimenez move sat well with me, but I made that hit and it resulted in a small green arrow. The standouts were Trent's 2 assists for Virgil's brace, KDB's humdinger of a goal against Newcastle, hell yeah, thank you very much, and Sonny was a big difference over McGinn with his 2 assists, whilst Vardy nicked a goal as my captain, and of course Jimenez played and got an assist, where Tammy missed out due to injury. I must note my bench here as it has made a big impact on my decision or downfall, whatever you want to call it. 16 points sat there between Mings and Muse. Alters my thinking going forward. So, game week 14 I ended up with 58 points, 7 above the average, and as I said, a small green arrow to 133,923. However, game week 15 wasn't so kind. This is when the gut feeling of selling Tammy and those previous transfers came back to haunt me. Soyuncu, Mane and Vardy as my captain were the only players to return. Soy with his clean sheet, Mane with his goal and 2 assists, and Vardy ticking by as my captain with another goal. Having made the transfers the week before, I had given myself a right benching headache. On form, I was stuck on the decision to play Muse, Mount or Pulisic each week. A headache which has seen me with yet another big haul on my bench of 16 points. Mount having got his goal and my previously transferred out Tammy getting a goal and an assist, giving Muse his first chance for me in my starting 11 and he got benched. This seen me with a big 100k red arrow and I ended the game week with 45 points, 4 below the average, sat at 233,426. Clearly, those that had been more patient with Tammy happened to be around me in the rankings and that made a big difference. On to game week 16, and given my good record of getting a green arrow straight after a hit so far, I decided to do something very ballsy. I went bat SHIZZLE and took another -4. This time though, and it's big, to get Tammy, Rashford and then Donker of all people for Jimenez, Muse and Pulisic. I know, bonkers, right? Well, first of all, let's talk about the standouts before delving into this decision making. So Sonny has yet again been a great signing with a goal and an assist against Burnley. Rashford tucked away a penalty for 9 points, and Vardy has somewhat saved my bacon a little as my captain again with 2 goals, but that's the only pluses of note, unfortunately. Okay, so let's take a look at this in a little more depth. I have wanted Rashford now for some time and not been able to afford him or fit him in. I probably should have got him in the game week 14 hit that I took. Instead, I delayed. Also, for weeks I've had a headache with my benching options, as you know, and Pulisic hadn't been a great signing for me despite his previous form. So my thinking was that if I sold him to someone very cheap, I could finally get Rashford and cure my benching headache in one foul swoop. I could only get Rashford for Muse if I sold Pulisic rather than Mount, so here explains Den Donker. Then it was the price rises that pushed my other move, Jimenez to Tammy. I didn't have to make this move for a hit this week, nor did I want to. However, I had the exact cash in the bank on Thursday evening, and it was now or never, or at least for some time given the nature of FPL, to get Tammy back. Of course, this bit me on the arse, as Jimenez got an assist and Tammy got nothing. But there's 2 things to touch upon here. The first is that my front 3 actually scored the same as what it would have done if I hadn't have touched it at all, even with the hit. And I'd only have been 3 points better off had I not have taken the hit. The places where I got hurt were the likes of Ings and Maddison, players that happened to become popular with the community over the past few weeks and I just cannot afford to fit in my team. team. So here's the thing, it's a little early to tell if I got off Muse and Jimenez way too early. It certainly looks that way right now, but I'm praying I haven't. Jimmy will always tick along. He's a very, very consistent player, and I'm not afraid to reverse transfers as you've seen if Tammy doesn't work out. But I am chasing the halls with Tammy and Rashford. Let's be honest, not consistency. Time will tell if it's a stupid call or not. The game week hasn't finished yet with Arsenal and West Ham still to play tonight, but I don't have any assets in it and I'll end on 59 points when Dendonka goes in. I've already slipped from 233,426 to 259,971, so a big involvement from Alba could see me around 300k by the end of play. It's not been great. I know it could be a lot worse, so I'm definitely not complaining. However, it's a definite knock to the confidence, this one. Looking ahead to game week 17, and this is how I'm currently lining up. I'm struggling to move the captaincy from Vardy. He's been so good to me, but there are lots of great options for game week 17, let's be honest. Mane, after his rest, could be great against Watford at home and is probably my main contender, but fear and consistency though will likely see me stick with Vardy. I'm trying not to panic here as my confidence is a little knocked, as I've just said. Those 3 close game weeks just did not go well. I wanted to roll my transfer this week, but the Mings injury has me considering getting rid of him now for the likes of Kelly, Evans or Fernandez. I will need that extra player in the game week 18 blank, so I will need to consider that, and it will likely be my transfer if I do one this week. If I hadn't just come off of a red and my confidence knocked, I would have considered taking a -4 for KDB amount to Ali and Maddison. However, the Mings injury and KDB facing Arsenal will likely see me hold that. KDB needs Aguero back ASAP and managers are already losing patience in him. I'm not sure how much longer I can keep my trust in him. Let's see what happens at Arsenal. Just before we get on to my trending transfers, I just wanted to say a massive thank you to you all. My Nym fam, you've been great. Thanks for getting me over the 8,000 followers mark on Twitter and 500 followers on Instagram. It means loads to me that you guys support and interact with me. Every sub and follow is always much appreciated, so thank you guys. Moving on to my trending transfers this week, let's take a look at how things could develop ahead of game week 17. There are 2 goalkeepers fighting it out to become the trendiest goalkeepers ahead of game week 17, and they are Gaeta and Schmeichel. Gaeta has been bought by over 26,000 managers, whilst Schmeichel has been picked up by over 22,000+ managers. The goalkeepers making way for the Palace and Leicester men are Edison with over 17,000 sales and Pope with over 13,000 sales. In defence, the injury to Van Aanholt has him just edging the transfers out with over 54,000 sales. Tomori is just behind him though, with his lack of game time meaning 50,000+ managers have shipped the Chelsea man already. Kelly is by far the most transferred in defender this week, with over 95,000 of you buying ahead of his Brighton match. Uri is the next most transferred in, with 40,000 managers liking the look of the newly invigorated Spurs team. In midfield, there's a clear leader for purchases in this week, and Sonny takes it. Son has been bought by over 170,000 managers already ahead of game week 17. Ali is the next best with over 97,000+ purchases. The City men are the make-ways for these moves, despite their potential mouth-watering matchup against the struggling Arsenal defence. KDB has had 114,000+ sales and Sterling 96,000+ sales. Up front, Jimenez is leading the sales out with 94,000+ managers selling him on. Alba is the next trendiest transfer out with 80,000+ sales. Rashford is by far the trendiest player in this week of all the categories. Over 188,000 managers have picked up the Man United striker ahead of his Monday's Everton matchup. Vardy and Abraham are the next closest transferred in, with over 67,000 managers plumping for Vardy and 65,000+ managers hoping for some Abraham magic. And that's it, you guys. Thanks for watching. Please feel free to check out my sponsors, fantasyfootballfix.com, and please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And until next time, Nymfria out. It's good to be back.